Hi, lovies. It's Christina with Karma's Eye Psychic LLC and Mystical Charms here on Universal Spirit Podcast. We are now in season 10, talking about working with deities. In this episode, we're going to talk about Hoodoo, Voodoo, Santeria, and ATR common spirits that are worked with. We are going to be speaking of Laveau, Santa Meurte, Ixcacao, and John the Conqueror. Now, I did say that I will be speaking on spirits that I personally work with. I know there are many other deities, but I'm going to just explain who they are, what they're about, a little bit of backstory, and also how to work with them, and also how they came to me in regards to working with me or me working with them. So I'm going to start off with a not so popular deity called Ixcacao, or you could say Ixcacao, which is pretty much the goddess of chocolate. Okay, you would mostly find this in a lot of Hispanic, Santeria, Anglo culture. She is well known. She's also known to be, if not the same deity as the moon, but she is in fact portrayed as a woman that has, a lot of branches coming out of her. She's usually depicted brown, but she is the goddess of chocolate, but also knowing for being the goddess of, the well-being of children, justice, and most of all, courage. Okay, considering the different levels of richness with chocolate, the more richer it is, the more courage you attain, or the more courage you can expect. So when you are giving offerings to Ixcacao and you want to offer chocolates or any type of chocolate, your request would be associated with the level of richness of the chocolate. Now, believe it or not, how Ixcacao drew herself to me was actually in a dream where I kept seeing a woman with, like, almost like a court jester type of like head dress, because that's kind of how her image is depicted. Besides the branches that are coming off of her body, she also has branches coming out of her head. And I just had to get to the bottom of what this image I was seeing, because it didn't scare me, it didn't alarm me in any way. I felt very comfortable, but I felt like, she was trying to tell me something. And it turns out at the time, I was in fact sinking deeper and deeper into my timidity. And I did in fact need to be a bit bold. I did need to have a little bit more courage to do certain things in my life. This was before I got my office in Freehold to see clients, because I was afraid of the financial responsibility, afraid of just this big leap that I was taking, and just, what people were going to think of me, and just being perceived and being out there. And when I finally realized what her name was and, what she was trying to tell me, I went all in. And she is very popular with a lot of like Hispanic, Santeria, and Anglo culture, but I mean dating thousands of years back to the Mayan Empire, to the Aztec Empire. Ixcacao was very well known, especially among women, because she is a female or a feminine energy. She does look out for the well-being of children, and also the courage to look out for children, not just looking out for self. It does take courage in any day and in any age to be the backbone of children, to be that safe space. Okay. And chocolate, of course, being the goddess of, sexual allure, because chocolate is very closely associated with sexual allure. But a big part of sexual seduction and allure has to do with courage. And usually, scientifically, the result of a lot of sexual activity is the, conceiving of children. Okay, the conceiving and carrying and birthing of children. So she is, I would say, a multi-part deity. And when I work with her, like I said before, I do give different levels of the richness of chocolate. So if I have an urgent need, I will find the darkest chocolate possible, the richest that I can find, the best quality. If I have a moderate need, I will do something a little bit lighter, something a little bit less intense. But I don't just, you know, honor Ixcacao and just always ask her for stuff. It's really the relationship that I have where I am very grateful of the energy she has given me, the strength and the courage she has given me. Because when we feel as though we need to either, back down or stop, Ixcacao kind of gives this courage not only to keep going, but be courageous when you keep going. It is nice to play things safe, but a lot of things in life, if you were to rip the veil off, require us to be courageous. And oftentimes when we feel as though we don't have it in us, when you work with Ixcacao, you start to realize that that is the farthest thing from the truth. We all have it in us, okay, to be courageous. And that is what I have learned working with Ixcacao. Second on my list, we will be talking about Santa Meurte. Now, Santa Meurte is one of the most popular deities, energies, and spirits among Hoodoo, Voodoo, Santeria, and Anglo culture. Okay, and when I mean Anglo culture, I mean Hispanic culture, dating back to the Aztecs, Mayans, Spain, Mexico. Okay, a lot of Hispanic mythology. Okay, Santa Meurte, we all know the mother of death, right? Rebirth, mercy, okay, protection, not only money, but also with critical thinking as well. A lot of people depict her as being like, a skeleton with a robe carrying roses, okay, or multicolored flowers, right? She definitely loves flowers, okay. And Santa Meurte is like the mother protector of all the Hoodoo spirits, or in Santeria, she protects you, okay. But at the same time, the best thing that I have noticed when working with her is like she will protect you, but at the same time she will help you get your shit right as well. So also she does appear to you when you might be lacking in discipline. Now, how Santa Meurte kept coming to me was that I kept seeing roses. Like I would see roses on tattoos. I would see roses in my path. I would see roses on television. I would just keep constantly seeing roses. I started having dreams about roses, and to me, I was just kind of like, why, why am I seeing all these roses? Like I love roses, but like that's a little bit much. But they're a symbol of courage. They're a symbol of love. They are a symbol of lighting your path. It's the understanding of not only beauty, but also maintenance, hard work, and the fact that every time I saw a rose, it was in full bloom. It was it was vibrant. It was bright. That has also to do with protecting what is precious. Okay, and if you believe that it is precious, that you will put up the work to keep it up. When it comes to Santa Meurte, you have to be a devotee. Like you have to be thanking her every single day. And if you are not disciplined enough to do that, definitely work with someone else. She is gonna come to you every day. You are gonna see her every day. It's almost as if when I said Santa Meurte out loud, that's how I knew. I was like, that's who's trying to contact me. It's Santa Meurte. Also, working with her, at the time, I did feel as though I was pitying myself, or if not, even forgetting who I was. So if you are at a time where you might be forgetting how strong you are or how far you have come, she will definitely remind you of that. And it doesn't have to be anything super huge, right? It could be just small things. The fact that you are taking showers every day, and that every time you fight the need to go into a depressive state or give up, she really maintains you, right? Especially if you're willing and able to maintain yourself. But she definitely gives you that extra oomph. With working with Santa Muerte, the number one thing that I was drawn to the most to offer her would be marshmallows or marshmallow scented things, and of course roses. Okay, so it's almost like the rose scented things, physical things. I would definitely recommend. She is a lover of physical objects. However, the thank you and the acknowledgement every day is just as well. It's almost as if you might not see the smile on her face, but you definitely can feel it in your life. As if it almost just comes in like a wave. Okay, working with Santa Muerte is definitely like a feeling of just like, you just feel protected. Doesn't mean you got the go do stupid things, but you feel that protection around you, and it does help you, start to be, critically think a little bit better and keep your own self out of danger. And it does bring up the times that you could have kept yourself out of bad situations to never return to them again. All right. The next person on my list is Marie Laveau, who is obviously the queen of voodoo, the Louisiana queen of voodoo. Okay, there is no person higher than her. And I put her third on this list is because I've worked with Marie Laveau for years, and I know there's a twinge between us because in life, she was a Virgo. She was born under the Virgo sign. And me personally, when she works with me, I do feel as though she side eyes me a little bit, because I do feel as though it's like you cannot come to her unless you know exactly what you want. And do not do things precisely the way she wants them to be done, and she'll grant you any wish. Like, keep your wishes. That's something that you can customize, but don't customize like her altar. Like, she has specific instructions to make her altar, and if you do not do it correctly and you do not take the time to figure it out, calamities will in fact happen. Okay, like I did in fact have a tragedy when I tried to half-ass her altar. Okay, however, that tragedy got reversed because I realized that's what it had happened. But the side eye, you will definitely feel it when you know that you are not being serious about coming to her. She does not like to waste time. She is super loving, though. She is loving, giving, forgiving, and she's very ready and able. And like I said, it's not just about asking about what they can do for you. It's the relationships that you build as well. My relationship with Marie Laveau is almost like that, like most respectable woman in my life, where it's kind of like there's no point in going unless like I'm ready to do the work. If I ask her for anything, or if I need advice, I better be ready to hear the truth, right? I can't be trying to shade anything or trying to be in denial about anything. There is no denial here. Okay, she does not play games at all. Okay, but she definitely will tell you that she's like your best friend. Okay, and she's definitely on the road to self-improvement at every corner, because she was born under the Virgo sign. Perfection is what we are seeking. Now, she understands that perfection is not always going to be the case. However, you have to at least try. Okay, she is for the people who try. If you don't want to try, don't work with her. I definitely don't recommend that you do that. Now, also, when it comes to after getting what you want or need from her, also to remember, to send her off correctly. Okay, she does not like to be dismissed or shooed or shunned. Be respectful, okay? Because if she's giving you time of day, okay, understand that there's so many people that venerate her that, please, it's like you're playing spades, come high or stay home. pretty much with her. But I would definitely recommend it if you are drawn to her. Okay, do not just be seeking her out just because you heard all these stories about her. Okay, literally have an actual relationship. And I know where my relationship with her stands. Okay, I feel when I'm working with her, I still got some growing up to do. Okay, because it's like she's always seen into both realms when she was alive, and now that she's in the other realm, it's the same stuff she's been seeing. So her wisdom is just beyond anything I've ever felt. When you're giving her offerings, I mean, give her something precious. Give her something that is not broken if you can, or not dirty. Try to give her something brand new if you can. I've noticed that's the best thing. Last but not least, we're going to talk about John the Conqueror. The reason why this one is controversial because a lot of people, or he has been depicted as two separate people. He is either a white king who came to Hoodoo, or he is depicted also as a black slave that, was considered to be a king after he escaped slavery. Now, I go with the story that he was a slave and he escaped slavery. And he was all about unity and courage and overcoming obstacles, considering that his entire life was obstacles. But he found a way through unity. And also we named the John the Conqueror route after him, for his, his patience, resilience, strength, and, also his force. And understanding that there is a really strong force within us all. Okay, and it's one of those things where if you were to conjure or to work with, or venerate John the Conqueror, you are generating a lot of energy, like no joke, powerful punch energy. The double-edged sword with John the Conqueror has to do with authenticity versus manipulation, considering there is a powerful punch when it comes to his power. So when you invoke John the Conqueror, or wear the oil, or burn the candle, and pray the Psalms, like, you are asking for pretty much a bulldozer to come in and handle the problem. If you do not require a bulldozer, I definitely don't recommend that you summon John the Conqueror. Okay, this is for a lot of heavy hitting things, and this is where you are being bullied, or abused, when the authorities need to get involved, such as military or just law enforcement. He brings the thunder. Okay, so if someone is bothering you, like in a stalking situation, John the Conqueror will be good if that person has made open threats, or you do feel like your life is in danger. Okay, how I started working with John the Conqueror is when I was in a very abusive relationship with my ex-husband, and not only did I feel like I didn't have the courage, but I was finding it hard to, really be authentic and really be true to myself. That's what kept me in the relationship in the first place. And I did have to, lightly manipulate my way out of it. However, no harm, no foul, didn't hurt anyone. Little white lies here and there, and just being, absent, or just being, people just not knowing where I was. I found a way to succeed in all the things that I was doing. So it definitely will bring out of you the very resourcefulness that we all have, because John the Conqueror is very resourceful, taking a little bit and turning it into a lot, and understanding that there's power and magic all around us. And he definitely embodies the idea of ancestral help. especially if you are African American or if you have a bloodline of people who were in, African American slavery here in the United States. And it's that link between, your ancestors who were suffering, and also between the ancestors who, before they came to the United States, who were succeeding. So it is kind of like we have it in us to succeed, even though we are facing horrible odds or horrible circumstances. When you work with him, I would suggest that colognes are really good offerings. Money is a good offering. Candy is a good offering. If you are into like potted plants and things of that nature, and also artwork. I found artwork is very, very good when it comes to giving him offerings. And you can embody him as a man, or you can just embody John the Conqueror as just a masculine energy. Okay, the color for John the Conqueror, it really is like royal blue or like deep purple. These colors are very good, especially when dealing with court case matters. I would definitely recommend working with John the Conqueror. Speaking of which, he does do his best work for hard-hitting justice. He also, it works if you work alongside of other deities or other means. But John the Conqueror will not fail if you understand the power that you are bringing about. Don't mess with great power and drop it and fumble it. That's not really responsible, because John the Conqueror magic or, veneration doesn't necessarily backfire. But if you're not ready for the heavy results, try something a little bit more simple. And also any other offering too that you feel is right always works best. Even if you don't have the things that I listed, always just go off of what you're feeling. Every relationship with him is different. My particular relationship with John the Conqueror is that if we're ready to set fire to something, that's when me and him get together. But if we're not ready to set fire to something, then I don't even bother. But it's not just what I can get from him and what he can do for me. It's also just that reminding me that, you have that power, whether you can believe it or whether you can see it or not. It's there. It's ever present. So I hope you got something from this. This is just one part of many to our deity series. Again, this is Christina with Karma's Eye Psychic LLC, Mystical Charms, here on Universal Spirit Podcast. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.